and do a nice job.
I can understand, and it's not necessarily the kids either. Fun ways that will encourage them to actually put that carrot in their mouth. The Multiple Mayhem Mama is here.
I love her. I love her. Yeah.
Great tips and easy to do. And then more. Our Multiple Mayhem Mama, Samantha Kemp Jackson, is back. This time, she's going to give us some tips for picky eaters. We've all got them in our family. Some of them aren't so young. And I don't like that. You've never tried it. I don't like it. So how do we get them to try new things and eat the things we know they're supposed to for nutrition's sake? You're going to tell us.
I'm going to tell you. So what I find is that kids are a little bit reticent in trying something new.
It must be a biological thing.
I think it is. Maybe we evolved that, you know, if we don't know it, it might be unsafe. But there are ways around it. So what I find, Val, that I do is a number of different strategies. One of them is making the food look pretty. Another one, though, is dips. So I have a vegetable tray here. Okay. I've got a number of different vegetables. Oftentimes my youngest boys will say, I don't like that, in their garbled language. And if I give them some dip with it, it all of a sudden becomes a fun enterprise. So,
and you've brought stuff that isn't ketchup, which is so nice.
It's not ketchup, because ketchup is, contrary to popular belief, really not a dip.
But you try telling that to any 3-year-old.
Yes. So what I've tried to do is mix it up a little bit. Have a lot of color, because that really, really engages and pulls them in. The different dips are different colors as well. So this is a roasted red pepper dip. This is a baba ganoush, which has eggplant in it.
And eggplant's good for you.
Eggplant is good for you. However, if I brought the actual eggplant out, they would say no. So this is kind of a backdoor way of getting them to eat. This one is a spicy hummus, and it's not actually that spicy, so the kids can eat it, but you can always do a just a little bit of a less garlicky, spicy one. So I find that having a nice big vegetable tray, having a lot of different colors and a lot of options and varieties for them, also keeping vegetables available, cut up in the fridge, pieces of vegetable, pieces of fruit, and if they say they want a snack, instead of them reaching for a cookie or something sugary, pull out the vegetables.
And you know, you could probably whip up some vegetables in the dip.
Yes.
Some kids are prone to dipping and then just sucking off the dip, right?
Yes.
You sneak some vegetables into the actual dip.
Yes, and that actually is a great segue into the next little segment. So here, what I've done is, this looks like your standard meat sauce.
It does. That looks like a delectable bowl of spaghetti.
Yeah, so I've got spaghetti here, and I've got your standard sauce. But what I did, and my kids don't know, is that I steamed some cauliflower, broccoli, and carrots. I pureed it in the blender, and I mixed it up in the sauce. So if your kids are giving you trouble in eating their vegetables, then there are ways around it. And I find that that really works.
So in there, cauliflower,
broccoli and carrots. Yes, because sometimes it's harder to get them to eat. And it's not just with sauces. So sauces are a great way of getting kids to eat their vegetables. You can use pasta sauces, but you can also do it in soups. So you can hide a lot of vegetables in soups, puree them up so it just looks like a thicker soup. You can also cook up pancakes, zucchini pancakes with pureed zucchini. I have a friend who actually pures up a lot of different types of lentils and that type of thing that kids tend to not like and put it in their soups. You can also cook up things in brownies and cookies. So you can actually puree carrots into cookies and that type of thing. They'll be none the wiser.
They won't be.
No.
Except I pureed some kale and put it in the macaroni and cheese. And that one didn't turn out so well.
No, the kale is harder to disguise.
Mommy, it's green.
So yeah, you kind of have to think about the color composition and what you can kind of slip through and what you can't. So
good point.
Yes.
Okay. Hey, now this looks fun. You said we have to make things look interesting.
Yeah. So with children, especially smaller children, their world is so small that things have to be comfortable for them or inviting. So what I try to do is make things look a little bit more interesting to get them to try it. So in terms of boiled eggs, oftentimes kids won't eat boiled eggs, but if you make them into faces and put some vegetables around it, they will.
How great is that? And this will encourage them to eat the yolk too, if they're only
That's the yolk, and that's just, those eyes are raisins. The beak is just a little bit of carrot, and then I've just put a little bit of vegetables around it.
And does that work for your 3-year-old boys?
Yeah, when I make things look pretty, they will eat it. If otherwise, it's a little bit of touch and go. We don't know. It changes on any given day.
And you've got a daughter who's now 8?
8, yes.
She's 8. So do you have to pull these tricks with her, or is she able to?
Not as much. She's past it now just because she, I can reason and rationalize with her, so I can say, you know, I really need you to eat your dinner, and if you don't eat your dinner, you're not getting a treat after dinner. So that often works, but the smaller children, it's really hard to rationalize with them. So I try to make things that are understandable for them and fun for them to eat.
Now, we're all trying to figure out what this is, and what. So is this
didn't work out as a plan. This is okay. It's actually a sheep. This is.
It's a sheep.
This is the fuzzy head at the top. These are the eyes, and these are the two nostrils, and this is just some
He's
pretty
eating
foliage.
grass.
Yes. So anyway, the thought was there. It was a great intention, but anyway, the idea is there.
It's gorgeous. And how long did it take you to make that?
Not long, a few minutes. It's basically it's a ham sandwich with cheese, and I just cut around it and cut some little pieces together.
And then part of the fun could be guessing what Mommy has made.
Because Mommy is not an artist. Yes.
I think that's great.
Not creative, not a cook.
Well, once you know it, you go, oh, okay, there it is.
Yeah, yeah.
And I love this one too. Look how you've made this all fun. And
so yeah, so that's a jigsaw puzzle, and again, it didn't take too long, and I just kind of free-handed it, and. You know, it's something that the children will recognize and think it's more fun to eat. They think it's a puzzle, they'll eat it. Little children are like that, so whatever you can do to get them to eat, just do it.
Yeah,
sometimes
why not?
There's a lot of fighting.
Even just putting a funny face into a bowl of blueberries.
Putting a funny face in things makes it a lot more palatable for kids. So now, you're probably wondering why I have a slab or 3 slabs of butter.
Oh no, I'm not wondering at all, but go ahead and tell me.
Well, you know, I do belong to the school that thinks that everything is better with butter. So worst case scenario, I find, and maybe it's not the healthiest thing, so do it sparingly, but I find that certain vegetables that kids don't like, so my kids don't particularly like Brussels sprouts if I steam them or boil them. However, what I do is I saute them in butter afterwards, and then I cover them with Parmesan cheese, and they love them.
Brilliant.
Yes.
It does work. Butter is a lifesaver.
Butter.
And they're saying, you know, it's a natural fat, so it's not as bad as we've been led to believe.
Yeah, just
so
sparingly.
Go for it. Thank you so much. Great tips.
You.
And there are even more on her
There's
website. So we're going to have more with Samantha when we return. Stay tuned. Hey, we're back with multiple Mayhem Mamas, Samantha Kemp Jackson. We've been talking about how to get your picky eaters to actually put the food that we want them to eat in their mouths, and not just to get it in there, but for them to enjoy it too. Mm-hmm. So the fun, creative ways you've presented here, easy for us to do. And you've even got some other great tips on your website.
I do.
There's one I love about the friend. Tell us about that.
Well, you know, I find that children are actually quite swayed by their friends. Sometimes that's good, sometimes that's bad. But in terms of eating, I think it's a good thing. So if your children if you're having problems having your kids eat proper foods or nutritional foods, perhaps invite a friend over, maybe one that you know who actually eats their vegetables and their broccoli, and invite them for dinner, because I find that seeing somebody that they appreciate and like do something that they're not sure about will often make them at least take the step to try it.
That is true.
Yes.
Now, what happens when your kid's at somebody else's house and they say, no, I don't want to eat that?
Well, you know, I think it's really important to teach kids rules, so of proper etiquette and courtesy. So we have to teach our children that if you're at someone else's house, it's actually quite rude to decline the food. And the rule has to be, the standing rule has to be that if you're at someone else's house, you have to try it, or else you're going to hurt the feelings of your host. And I think that's just good parenting and courtesy, common courtesy.
Right. Common courtesy, building those life skills.
Yes.
Fruit seems to be an easy one, but even getting them to eat fruit in the short time that we have left, you know what, we'll talk about this another day, because we've run out of time. For more information, just go to the multiplemayhemmama.com website, get all the tips. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Val.
Still